Hello, everyone. Since no one's here, I will turn off my video later. Turn off my camera, I mean. So today we are gonna talk about problem set 2, the solution. Let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see the Excel form here. So to talk about this problem set, I know there are many questions in the problem set, but I would like show you how the solution look like in terms of the Excel. And then let's go back to problem set 2 to see the specific questions that are asked in the problem set 2. So from the brochure about the Lexon station, sorry, not Lexon, Linux, we know a couple of things. First of all is the annual the rental income and like expenses and the NOI, those kind of things, and also the ground lease payment. And there are some assumptions in the brochure as well. It's also listed in the question. So put everything together, let me summarize. First of all, on the brochure, it starts, the number starts from the rental income, which is 466,000 something. And there are some expenses, and there are NOI and the ground lease payment and NOI after ground lease payment. So the information on top of, like before NOI, are assumed out in my solution. I know some of you asked me, should I assume like if rental income is growing as assumed in problem, should I assume expenses also grow? The answer is yes here. So I assume everything grows at the same rate with the income, so that your NOI will grow at 10% as well. So I see in some problems, in some solutions you submit, someone starts from like rental income and then go to NOI and then go to the cash flows, like specific cash flows about ground lease payment or NOI after ground lease payment. That's also fine. But since I already assume that expenses will follow the same rate growth as the rental income, I just implicitly assume here that the NOI has the same growth pattern as the rental income. That's the first thing that I want to clarify. And a second thing that is not explicitly listed in the problem set, but you should have known, is the fact that there are actually 2 roles in this problem set, or 2 people. The brochure that lists there is an offer price, like sale price, and there are many bunch of like cash flows in the future. Those are for the leaseholder. So here, in other words, if you pay the 4 billion, which is the number here, $4.8 billion, you get the cash flows as a leaseholder. So there is actually another person implicitly, which is called the ultimate owner. So the ultimate owner is the one that gets all the ground lease payment, which is starting from year 2020, it's gonna be 126,000. So in other words, these 2 people, ultimate owner and leaseholder, they will share the NOI, which is starting with 450,000 something. And later, following the with the assumption we're gonna work on 75 years lease. So until the end of year 75, these 2 people will split the cash flow for 75 years. And after the 75 years, which is the end of the lease that is in the brochure, the property or like all the cash flow, the NOI will be converted back to the ultimate owner. So this is the implicit assumption of this question. And I believe, but I don't know how maybe you asked professor and some of you asked me. I believe many of you already know this, but I still want to clarify the beginning so that you can understand what's going on in this spreadsheet. So let's get started. First of all, let's work on the NOI. The NOI, according to the problem set, we already know it will grow at 10% every 5 years. So how do I do that? I just you can do many of different ways just to make sure the resulting numbers are the same. So for the first 5 years, you get the same amount, 456,000, and starting from year 6, you get 10% growth compared to 5 years ago. And this number will keep going for 100 years. A note that the 100 year is the one that you're gonna plot in, I think it's in question 4. So I use 100 year, but the lease only has 75 years. And since ultimate owner will get the ground lease payment, we need to, some of you might like missed some assumptions in the brochure. So the ground lease payment does not grow at 10% at the beginning. In contrast, in the page number 6 of the problem set, it says the ground lease payment will increase by $10,000 every 5 years until 2030. So it's not exactly the same pattern as the NOI. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, some of you like started with 116,000 here, but it's not correct because the brochure by assumption is at the end of 2019. So starting from 2020, you should get this $126,000 already, and it will also grow every 5 years. Until year 2035. So starting from year 2035, let's see. Wait a minute. So according to the assumption, starting from year 2035, it will grow at 10%. So you will get this number 160,600 starting from year 2035, or like 16 years from now, and it will keep grow until year 75. Where is year? Yeah, here. So this is the ground lease payment that will go to the ultimate owner. And the leaseholder will just get the residual that is deducted from the NOI. So the formula has been typed here. It's just NOI minus the ground lease payment. So as I said at the beginning, the implicit assumption is first in the period of the lease, or like within the 75 years, the ultimate owner will only get a small part of the cash flow, which is just the ground lease payment. But starting from year 76, the ultimate owner will start to get all of the NOI. So because the lease has already ended, there will be no cash flow to the leaseholder. So cash flow to the ultimate owner will be just the same as NOI. And you can see here, there is nothing left to the leaseholder. And let's put them together. So this will be how the cash flow looks like. One thing I want to talk about now, which is like related to what is the total present value of the property for the ultimate owner. It's asked in question, I don't know which one it is. So what is the terminal value of for the ultimate owner in year 75? So it just means starting from year 76, let's assume it's a perpetuity, and let's assume it's gonna be, the cap rate will be increased by 0.5%, and what will be the value for the property for the ultimate owner if he or she owns the property, because all the cash flow has been reverted back. So it will be the NOI in year 76 divided by the cap rate. So this is column cell C85. Then it will be divided by there. Here is the cap rate plus 5%. It's a crazy number because nothing is here yet. So now there is one thing I want to inform most of you that I know many of you already see there is a cap rate which is 7% on the brochure, but this is not the answer actually I am looking for, because the cap rate should be the NOI next period divided by the price you pay. So it should be 330,000 divided by the sale price. And because the sale price is negative, let's put a negative sign in front of everything. So it should be 6.8%. I know the reason many of you get exactly 7% is because here, rather than 330,000, you have 340,000 and 222. So because you assume the cash flow next period is just the ground lease payment listed in the brochure, but that's not after growth. Starting from year 2020 is not the same number anymore. So the value of your cap rate will also be different. The reason on the brochure is 7%, I think, is because at when the information or when the advertisement is listed, the timing is slightly different. So they use different NOI. But in this case, because we are assumed to be at the end of year 2019, you should use the cash flow from 2020. So the right answer, or quote unquote right answer I'm looking for, is 6.8%. And as a result, the ultimate or the terminal value for the ultimate owner would be 26 million something. If you use 7%, it will become 25 million something. I see many of you get this result. I don't deduct a lot of points. I don't deduct, a lot of points from it because I think you're on the right track, but the right cap rate should be a 6.8% or something like that. Anyway, so let's continue. Next thing I want to talk about is these two columns, which is the present value for the cash flow. So as I said, when you evaluate a stream of cash flow, you don't sum them directly. You should use the present value. And what should be the present value? Then it depends on what interest rate, what discount rate you're using. So in the question, like later questions, the problem set asks you to hypothetically use different discount rate that is listed here. Some of you even use more choices of discount rate. That's fine. So you need to use this different discount rate to discount future cash flow to today in order to get the present value. Let's start from maybe 5%, and we can change it to some other values. So suppose this is 5%. As I said, when you evaluate a stream of cash flow, every cash flow that happens at a single date in the future has different values because they have different, it's not because of their amount, it's also because of the different timing. So for the ultimate owner, 126,000 1 year later, only worth this amount. Let's fix this. I want to fix this cell. Because it's 1 year later, so you just discount it by 1 plus 5% to the power of 1. So it only worth this amount of money, 120,000. And similarly, okay, I don't need to do this. So I just drag everything. So you can see although later the cash flow to the ultimate owner is growing following our assumption, but the present value of it is actually very low. You can do that, the same thing for the leaseholder as well. So one thing I want to do is let's take a look of how much present value it looks like. Let's draw a plot. So you can see the red part is the present value of for the leaseholder, and the blue part is the present value of all the cash flows for the ultimate owner. So clearly, nearby future cash flow worth much more than the future cash flow. Although starting from year 76, all the like something very big number, 1 million, almost $2 million will go to ultimate owner, but the present value of it is actually very small. So this is important because first of all, when you evaluate the present value of the present value for the ultimate owner and present value of the leaseholder, this sum will be informative about which one is getting actually more valuable cash flow. And another thing is related to the very last question. So the split between cash flow, when you can choose which role you want to play or you want to be in this kind of situation, the different values of your future cash flow actually matters, because you want some of you might want more valuable cash flow, or if you just prefer become the owner and you just want to collect the stable cash flow, it's up to you, and it's an open question, but it gives you information about this kind of question when you think about it. Anyway, so because I already listed all of the present value of all the future cash flow, for this specific case, the 5%, you can just sum up. So since this is the, let's start with present value of ground leases, then it's simply a sum of everything until year 75. So note, because in this two column F and column G, I use 5% to discount all the future cash flow. So I can just sum everything here under this discount rate scenario of 5%. So the present value of the ground leases will be around 3.4 million something. And for the ultimate owner, because he or she collects the terminal value, which covers all the cash flow starting from year 76, I don't sum anything like from this table after year 76, because everything will be counted into the terminal value. The present value of the terminal value will be similarly the terminal value discounted by the discount rate I listed here. Because although I use the NOI in year 76, the value of this like future perpetuity will be in year 75. So the terminal value of the present value of the terminal value will be this amount, like 672,000. So you can see it's actually very small. It just shows how much valuable the earlier payment, earlier cash flow would be. And this, oh, I'm sorry. Oops. I need to fix this. So under different scenarios, you will use different discount rate to reevaluate future cash flow. So let's apply all of the exercise I did to the different discount rates, 5.5% until 7.5%. So you can see if the discount rate is high, your present value will be even lower. Although it looks very big, like 26 million, but today it doesn't worth that much money. And the present value of the ground lease will be calculated in this. If you want to work on specific numbers like cash flows using like following the way I did, you can change all the discount rates like the J1 here, but I will just use the NPV formula, the rate and the values. Still, the present value of all the ground lease payment will be here. Oh, sorry, I should use the column D because that's the original cash flow. Yeah, so not it decreases from 5% scenario, but not a lot. And you will see like it decreases even more, decrease gradually if the discount rate increases. to fix the. Yeah, let's fix this and apply to. So this is the present value of the ground leases under different scenarios of discount rate. The present value of the ultimate owner will be sum of them. So under the 5% scenario, the present value of the terminal value and the ground leases together will be 4 million something. And if you have 7.5%, it will become only 2 million something. And you can do similar thing to the leaseholder. So here, since I already have the detailed information on all the present value of future cash flow under the scenario of 5% discount rate, I can just sum everything together. It will be 9 million something. And you can also just use a shortcut, use the NPV. Oh, whoops. Still, I want to fix this thing. Under the scenario of 5.5%, it will be $8 million. And 5-point-something million under the scenario of 7.5%. So that's it. I will let you know why I do this, because it's related to one of the specific questions in the problem set. And one more thing is the IRR of for the leaseholder, because it's asked. So you can just use the IRR function. Put the numbers here together. You got 8%, but it should be like 8.5% something. Yeah, that's it. That's the spreadsheet. I think will be enough for all the problems. Then let's go to specific problem. First one, calculate the cap rate. As I said, many of you just tell me it's 7% or manage to get a value that is 7%. But based on what we learned in class and based on the assumption of at the end, that the fact that we're at the end of year 2019, you should get 6.8%. And the second question is an open question. And I know it's not possible to exhaust all the possible list or all the transactions on the internet. So any numbers or any answers that seems reasonable are fine for me. So I am very open to any answers in this question. So overall, based on my research, I feel like it's just similar. And there are different types of properties if you look at similar regions. So the cap rate might differs a little bit because the property type matters, if it's a shopping mall or some other different mall. So, but overall it's not very different. And the question 3, use the Excel to model the cash flow, which is exactly what I have done. And following this, all of the assumptions here. And then calculate IRR. IRR is just 8.5%, 8.49 something. And draw a stacked bar chart. So I didn't do this yet. I will do this now. So the blue part will be the cash flow for the ultimate owner. You can see it's very relatively lower at the early years and become just the whole cash flow in later year. And the cash flow to leaseholder is the orange part. It's just the first 75 years. I don't know, but I see some of you has some plot that has like two waves, like some like this shape here, and then another peak following somewhere later. I don't understand what's going on, and because I don't know what you did in your Excel, but you might want to check. Did you use the right cash flow, or did you just you have right cash flow, but you draw it in the wrong way? So both are possible. And let's see question 5. Which of these items appears to be a risky scheme of cash flow? Which one is safe? So again, because you see the hint here, does it vary with the economy? So risky or safe here is referring to how much variable it is according to the economic condition, or like is it cyclical, is it counter-cyclical, those kind of things. So I see different reasonings. It looks very interesting. My answer to this question would be the annual rental income and the expense recoveries would be relatively riskier because they are related to the economic condition. So annual rental income definitely when it booms, it's gonna be higher because people have more money and they do better in their business. Expense recoveries or expenses overall, it's also related with the economy, because if the tenant goes out of business, then the expenses will definitely be changed if they are not there. And if the economy is doing well, if they like have a lot of clients, then the related expenses will be also reflected in that kind of, will also reflect that kind of situations. So these two parts are relatively more volatile. You can argue like how much specific, like which one is even more volatile, but those two are relatively more risky cash flows. The ground lease payment is the safest one. This one is like it's already written in the contract. Like when you buy it, you have to pay it anyway. It's a little bit like the mortgage. If you buy a real estate and if you talk to the bank, you're gonna get a like schedule of payments in the future, maybe 30 years. And those are relatively safe for the firm because it's very constant, it's very stable, and the bank expect you to pay it in any scenarios. Here is slightly different because in mortgage, bank usually have your property. If you don't pay that, they will just take your house and sell it. Here is slightly different, but the main logic is the same. So because the cash flow is relatively flat and not volatile, does not change a lot with the economy because it's already written in the contract. So we call it the safest cash flow. Okay, question 6. Now you're the ultimate owner. That's why I'm doing this. The present value of the ultimate owner. So calculate present value of the PV of the cash flow from the ground lease payment under these different scenarios, and calculate the value, which is calculate terminal value in year 75, and calculate the present value of the terminal value, which are all down here. Present value of terminal value and terminal value and the present value of ground lease payment. So you can see this is the answers I'm looking for. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to be ultimate owner or the owner of ground lease payment? This question is the reason why I do the same thing for the leaseholder. Why do I calculate the present value? Since, okay, this is not the only right answer, I would say. So my view on this question is only like based on the value, which one values more, which one values less. So in this case, because the present value of the leaseholder in any scenario is much higher than the present value of the ultimate owner, I would say I want to be the leaseholder because I own a much more valuable property. And the reason why it's much more valuable is because I get much higher cash flows in near future. So they don't get discounted a lot, so that I gain a lot from the cash flows. And in contrast, as I said earlier, ultimate owner, although starts to collect all the NOI in the future, starting from year 76, but it's too far in the future. So discounted back, the value is not that high. Based on this pure present value comparison, I would say I want to be the leaseholder because I want to own more valuable property. But I saw many of you argue from a view of like, oh, I want to be a ultimate owner because I feel it's safer. The cash flow to leaseholder would be more volatile, which is related to the question 5, like, because if rent and the expenses are both very, very risky, then the NOI should be riskier. That also makes sense to me. I think it's also very fun to think about it from this kind of scenario, from this kind of perspective. Like if you just want a very safe asset, you might really want to be the ultimate owner, although the present value is not that high. Okay, then last question, was the motivation of the ultimate owner to split the right? This is also open question. My answer, although it's not the only answer, my answer would be like, it depends on the preference. It's also related to some of your arguments in question 7. Like someone prefers the type of like ground lease payment cash flow, and someone might prefer just more volatile but much more valuable cash flows. So it depends on your preference. And also, but if the cash flow is split between two people or two parties, there are also some drawbacks, like because there are more people involved if you want to redevelop or improve your property, it's gonna be much harder. That's the drawback, but that there are also motivations to satisfy different people's preferences. I don't think I deduct many points based on your answers to question 8. I think this is kind of more open question. Both 7 and 8 are kind of more open question. Okay, that's it. Please let me know if you still have any further questions, or if you think any part of it is not very clear. Good luck with your future work and problem set 3 maybe, and let me know if you need any help. That's it.